Hello, welcome to Matrix Live Season 4, Episode 23.
Yeah.
We were just talking, we're not sure why we're on the 23rd episode of Season 4 and what would mean that we'd have to get into Season 5. I don't know if this is going to be the grand finale or not really, but we've got something a bit different today. So I just spoke to Ben just a few minutes ago. Ben has not been well this week, so if you see him at FOSDEM or you see him around in one of the channels, give him a high five or whatever it is. He's actually feeling way better, so that's great. But what it does mean is it's me sort of asking the questions today, and I am joined by Halfshot.
Hello.
What are we talking about today, Halfshot?
I'm talking about bridges, that's for sure.
Bridges?
We're going to talk about presentation software instead.
We're talking about presentation software.
Yeah.
Now the thing is, when you do these interviews, Ben tells me that it's you sort of ask a bunch of questions as if you secretly don't know that much about the project.
We don't have any notes here at all. It's a sort of free form.
Well, the idea is that you sort of pretend you don't know about the project, and then you ask all the right questions, and then magically you get a great talk. In this one, I don't know that much about the project, but I was present for its very first usage at OrCamp.
Yes.
About 18 months ago in Sheffield.
So yes, that was version alpha 0.0001, which was made with me and JC in a room about 12 hours before the presentation went live. And it was just making a very, very simple JavaScript application to show presentations with loose coupling to Matrix. And then it came around to, I think, December this year, and Matthew said to me, would you like to do a presentation at FOSDEM? And I thought, oh no, I have no presentation software that isn't using Matrix. So I wrote another one. This is Matrix Presents. This is an actual, more professional, sort of more sensible project. We've actually architected the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's using Matrix events to show presentations in your browser, and you can follow along at home, or you can just read for your own leisure, and you can federate all this sort of Matrix ability. You can just look at presentations for it, and it's quite fun.
Right.
Yep.
And yeah, so I guess that's the key question here is like, why would you do this? Because this is in some ways a solved problem. There is presentation software available, even if you just mark down kind of stuff. But it's the extensions that you get with Matrix that make this kind of interesting.
So I think the niche is more for people who like to customize their messages of their slides to the nth degree, and people who want to have all this programmatical ability to make their own slides. Because Matrix gives you this ES API. And you can start writing your slides on top of this and scripting it and all that kind of thing. You have existing things like Google Slide stuff and Impress and all these type of things, and they're quite good, but they're all essentially tied up to Google in a centralized system. I'd say this is probably one of the very first decentralized and federated slide solutions. I mean, certainly you can host your own slide stuff somewhere, but this allows you to actually federate and fork it and change it and submit your own content to the slides, and that kind of thing is something I think that we can achieve with Matrix, which you couldn't achieve with Google stuff or something like that.
Okay. So what you've worked on so far today is getting kind of the base functionality such that it's recognizably a slide producing thing.
Yep.
And then there's some extensions, and we should definitely dive into those because I think that would be really cool. So supposing I just want to start out, I just want to have like 2 or 3 slides. What do I do? How do I make this happen?
So currently in this very early stage, we have a documentation for each of the event types. Mm-hmm. And what you do is you open up your develop client, and you start sending these events in using the dev tools. Mm-hmm. And the dev tools allows you to obviously customize your own contents. So the slides themselves are just a halfshot.slide, or you can halfshot.presents.slide event, which basically is like a tree of events which are separated into columns and title and subtitle, and you just create matrix events that then link into the slide event, and then that will then start rendering.
Okay, and so when you say link, it's like a reply to that?
It's an event ID. So you have essentially I think the way it works is you have a slides event, which is a global state event which lists all your slide events, and then these slide events link through event ID to all of these message events. And so the way it works is you have a slide which has a tree of events, and then you have a slides object which has a tree of slides, and then that way, or a list of slides, and then that way it sort of renders out. So for the end user, you can just start sending messages into a room, then linking it into a slide, then linking it into your slides, and then you have a presentation.
Right, okay.
It's a little complicated, but there's definitely documentation that goes through this.
So what about, I write my great killer 3-slide presentation,
Yeah.
and then I realise I've made a spelling mistake. What do I do?
It's okay, you just edit your event, resubmit the event ID to your slide event, and it will re-render. In fact, it even does it real time. So if you notice in real time your spelling is wrong, it will update because Matrix is synchronous, or it synchronizes, so you can just edit your slides as you go.
That's really nice. That's really cool. All right. So, and when you're talking about tree structure, is this basically the room DAG, or is this kind of a structure that you're laying on top of?
Oh yeah, this is a very simple thing at top where you have an event which has its own sort of tree structure of. I say tree, it's more like a very simple tree. It's just columns of events, which means you can, because most presentations I realise are essentially 2-column. You have your text here, an image here, or 2 section images, or usually it's a 2-column slide,
right.
Or 1 column or 3 columns or something. So we've modelled it in that way, and the events are basically just stacked on top of each other for each slide, which is sensible, I think.
Cool. So this is something where we could, be showing you screen share of what's going on. We're not going to do that. We're going to keep it super old school because basically we're just showing you some slides. But let me show you roughly what this can look like. I mean, this is a really sort of high tech solution that we've got here going on.
I've got these hands to point it out to you. So you've got essentially this is your title slide of a slideshow. If there wasn't an event with Kadir in it, I'll show you the actual URL, which you can probably squint at with your.
No chance. Okay, this probably
there will be a link.
So well.
But yeah, there'll be a link into the presents room, which will be all over Twim today, which means you can definitely see these slides for yourself, which is kind of the point is you can open up these slides yourself and look through them. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, so we'll put a link in the comments or the description of this video, and also in the Twim room, and you can actually play around. It's probably way more fun to do it that way than to have us talk about it. But
it's even more fun if you switch into viewer mode and have someone just go through and move your slides for you, because it looks kind of weird. But it's all the fun part of using it with Matrix, I think.
So this is written in Vue.js, which is not for some reason not the front-end framework of choice in the Matrix ecosystem.
It's fairly new. I mean, we tend to base ourselves around React because React's a React thing, and lots of people tend to crib off that. Mm-hmm. But the reason I choose Vue is because some friend in uni was like, Vue's great, and it was new. I tried it out, and honestly, it's pretty awesome. As in, you have for your components, like you have for React components, you have one file with your styling, your template, and your JS in it. And we found it works really well for Matrix style stuff, or at least for rendering events and things, to have it all in one place. Mm-hmm. And I also found, like React has the ability to re-render when something changes, and we've found that really quite useful for this when you want to re-render your slide when a thing changes or whenever something happens. So it's I really recommend Vue.js for anyone starting out into client dev, because it's actually quite a fun tool to use, and it's got full TypeScript stuff, it's got all the CI you'd need, so it's pretty fun.
Cool. You heard it here first. All right. So we've got our state events that create the kind of index. We've got our kind of tree overlay for the slides. And this creates the sort of basic foundations of, someone could say, yes, this is presentation software.
Yep.
But this is built on Matrix,
mm-hmm.
Which is more commonly associated with instant messaging and at least sort of real-time synchronization. So what sort of stuff are you thinking about, if I'm watching your presentation, can I comment along? Can I can I give you feedback? Can I heckle?
So this is the brilliant thing about allowing people to join it from their own federated systems. And suddenly you've got a room which you can start typing messages into through Riot or something. So we've got the ability to heckle, the ability to comment, the ability to say things, and we want to eventually make it so that these either appear on the screen if you're very brave, or at least appear.
Don't try that.
Or at least appear when they monitor or something, so you can see what the audience is asking about them having to shout out to you or something like that.
Right.
Because of course, one of the things I fear is that a lot of people, for example, in FOSDEM won't be going to it, but will be watching. Yeah. So we want to be able to have people, actually ask questions from the audience, perhaps, which don't have necessarily the ability, or it might be using an RSC channel, but so this makes it more interactive, I think. And the other thing I want to do that is probably safer is add the ability to add reactions to the slides. So the idea behind this is it's a bit like if you ever played the Jackbox series of PC games, which is like a party game, which basically there's a bit where emojis will appear on the screen if you bang your finger against a phone. And the idea here is basically you have sort of like emojis bubbling up on the corner of the screen whenever someone really likes or really hates something. So it can send, an eggplant emoji or thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever suits your fancy. Because, I mean, why not? It's Matrix, you might as well have a go.
So this is, I should stress, this is a feature that does not exist
No, but
yet.
it's high in demand if you want to.
Yeah. All right, that's cool. And I guess the nice thing about that is if you then want to revisit this presentation in the future, you have that reaction information if you want it. You can persist it, and it's tied in the timings of the slide. So the slide comes up and it tells you what people did at that moment.
So you just react. So in Matrix terms, when you react or you reply to something, you reply to an event usually. In this case, you just reply to a block of text on the slide. So you could even actually work out which bit of the thing the user's actually reacting to, or which bit they're replying to. So if there are annotations on the slide itself. Mm-hmm. And certainly this might be something for a presentation guy to then go back a week later and say, well, these guys really like this section, didn't like this section. So you could actually even use this feedback as a way to improve your slides. So there's so many ways you can use this technology, I reckon, to improve.
That's really interesting because that's sort of emergent behaviour on top of, and a lot of presentation software probably doesn't have the same richness, at least.
I certainly think a lot of presentation software lacks the synchronization amongst the internet and that kind of thing. There's not a lot of interactivity across the internet presentation software currently, and that's something I think Matrix and Riot do really well. And so something we can now build into our presentation software, and it's not selling it, obviously. And then
steady on.
No, yeah, but easy.
Okay, so because we were just a little bit of prep we did do before this was just talking about other projects in the Matrix ecosystem that are not chat orientated. We didn't come up with too many. There's I can't remember the name of it, the blogging software.
So it's Journal? Luke's
Journal. That's right. Yeah, Luke Barnard's Journal. Mm-hmm. We talked about a project that never quite got off the ground, which was basically me trying to figure out my household management of when to change the beds, and using Matrix as the backend for that, because I did build something like this before I was more involved in the project and was using Firebase for that, and wondered actually this would be quite a good switch.
Yep.
But are there any others?
Well, there's some in progress which I can talk about, which is Brendan over there is making a doorbell which is using Matrix, because we haven't got a doorbell and it's been about 7 months, and we said we should finally get a doorbell, and so he's now decided to make one in Matrix. That's the kind of level we're going for here. I did have
that makes no sense.
Yeah, it's very slow. Can you imagine the synchronization speed of this thing?
Okay.
But yeah, there's not many. And essentially Matrix, as I call it, is a multiplayer database. As in, people can interact and synchronize and do stuff over the web. So there's loads of possibility for this stuff. But we've traditionally focused on chat apps and things. Mm-hmm. So I think what I'd really hope for the future of Matrix is we start broadening our what we use Matrix for, because there's so much potential in this stuff. And I think this project works just well enough to prove you can do things like this quite well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we focus on the chat application today, but it really is just a way of synchronizing data around the internet in real time, and you can use that for all sorts of different things. Okay, so look, we talked about a little bit about what's next. Are there any other features that you'd love to get in there?
There's a slight missing feature in that it's impossible to create slides automatically at the moment, or indeed edit them at all, without using the dev tools in Riot. So one of the things I want to do is create some sort of dev tools that may take the form of a Matrix bot. It might be a simple web UI or something like that. So that's my immediate focus, is the ability to improve the speed of creating slides, because currently it takes me about 6 hours to write something that take me an hour in another application, which is not necessarily a failure, but you need to adapt and improve that. The only other thing is just more granular settings on the app. So currently we've hard-coded the keys you can swipe with and things like that, and we just want to improve and make it more customizable, I reckon.
Cool. And this isn't just your thing then. It's you're working. Who
This
involved in this project?
Currently it's just me, but there's a lot of people like Kadir's been championing it from the side and shouting and saying he wants to do this for his stuff. Because whenever I make a project, he's like, I could definitely use this for my stuff as well. So I think the community have really jumped on this, which is awesome. And I'm hoping we can build on this and build a really cool app that everyone starts using, and then slowly kick Google to the side.
Great. And so this is going to be... So in that case then, so at the beginning of this, I thought that this was a sort of evolution of the thing I'd already seen. But this then, is FOSDEM going to be the first time this sort of incarnation has ever been used in the wild?
So this version, first time. I've demoed it in the office, and I've demoed it around the house, and I've demoed it across to Germany once. In the form of JC watching my presentations over the channel. But this will be the first time a group of people will be standing there watching this presentation with no idea what I'm talking about and seeing this great big presentation on Matrix and on their phones and across the internet. So this will be the first real demo, will be next week in Brussels, and you can come watch it or sit at home and watch it and enjoy it.
Phenomenal. Right, we were very careful not to spoil your talk at FOSDEM.
Oh yes,
but,
yes.
What's the title of the talk? Just a few sentences, just for anyone.
It is Crossing the Bifrost. It will be about Bifrost and other bridges that we also make, and bridges that other people make, and talking about how Matrix has improved the bridging ecosystem and what we're doing and where we're going, and maybe a live demo, possibly, maybe that kind of thing.
I think you're contractually obliged to do some sort of dangerous live.
I think so. Demo. I think it's a Matrix standard that we have to do a live dangerous demo. It will definitely go wrong. It's what this is essentially.
Yeah, we did. Well, Matthew did one involving a drone that didn't kill anyone, so no horses were harmed during the course of that presentation. All right, so I think that's it. Thanks everyone. We're going to put the link to that you can follow and go and have a look at a sort of demo presentation. And there's a room that you can go and talk about this a little bit more, and you can go look at the code because obviously it's all open source. Mm-hmm. And if you just want to see it in practice, tune in to Halfshot's talk at FOSDEM, either in person or remote.
Yep.
All right, bye-bye then.
See you guys.